The morning sun cast long shadows across James Miller's backyard as the 10-year-old boy sat cross-legged on the grass. His eyes were closed, and his small hands rested on his knees. To any passing neighbor, it might have looked like the child was simply enjoying the peaceful morning. They couldn't see the incredible events taking place at the quantum level. Around James, invisible to the naked eye, particles danced and shifted in ways that should have been impossible. The boy had discovered this ability by accident 3 weeks ago, while trying to make his toy spaceship float. Instead of just imagining it, he had somehow reached into the very fabric of reality and started manipulating quantum fields. Today, he was trying to do it again, but with more control. As he concentrated, a small smile spread across his face as he felt the familiar tingle in his fingertips. The air around him began to shimmer slightly, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. High above Earth's atmosphere, in a cloaked observation vessel, 3 members of the Galactic Council's Detection Committee suddenly sat up straight in their chairs. Warning lights flashed across their monitors as their quantum field sensors detected the impossible, a naturally occurring manipulation of quantum fields without any technological assistance. "This cannot be," the lead observer muttered, his gray skin paling even further as he studied the readings. "The humans aren't supposed to have this capability for at least another 1,000 years. His assistant quickly cross-referenced the data. "Sir, the source appears to be a human child. Just a juvenile, but the power readings, they're stronger than our most advanced quantum manipulators." The third observer, who had been silent until now, spoke in a grave tone. "If the humans learned to harness this ability, they could bypass millions of years of technological development. The Council's position as the galaxy's governing body could be threatened." Meanwhile, unaware of the attention he was attracting, James continued his practice. Small pebbles around him began to lift off the ground, floating in perfect circles. He opened his eyes and grinned, watching his handiwork. He had learned that if he concentrated just right, he could feel the strange strings that seemed to connect everything. In the observation vessel, the lead observer made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. He pressed his palm against the ship's communication panel, establishing a secure link to the Council's High Chamber. "High Council, this is Detection Unit 7. We have identified a Class 1 threat on Sol 3. Request immediate authorization for neutralization protocol." The response came quickly, suggesting the Council had been waiting for something like this. "Authorization granted. Proceed with extreme caution. The humans must not become aware of our presence. Select your team carefully." Back on Earth, James let the pebbles drop as he heard his mother calling him for lunch. As he stood up and brushed grass from his jeans, he had no idea that he had just been marked for elimination by the most powerful organization in the galaxy. "Coming, Mom," he called out, running toward the house. The quantum fields around him settled back to their natural state, but the change had been detected. The wheels were already in motion. Inside the house, James's mother smiled as she set a sandwich on the table. She noticed her son seemed more energetic lately, more focused. She attributed it to him spending more time outdoors instead of playing video games. If only she knew that her ordinary American household had just become the focal point of galactic politics. The observers above began their preparations. They would need to move carefully. Earth was considered a protected developing world, and direct interference was technically forbidden. But the Council had long since learned to circumvent its own rules when necessity demanded it. As James bit into his sandwich, the 3 observers initiated their ship's cloaking system and began their descent into Earth's atmosphere. They had a mission to complete, and failure was not an option. The future of galactic power hung in the balance, all because of one small boy who had innocently discovered something that should have remained hidden for centuries to come. 3 days after discovering James's abilities, the Galactic Council's agents arrived on Earth disguised as a diplomatic team from the United Nations. Their sleek black car pulled up to the local elementary school where James studied, their fake credentials easily getting them past the front office. Principal Roberts walked down the hallway, leading two tall men in perfect black suits. "Mr. James is one of our brightest students," he said proudly, unaware of the genuine danger walking behind him. "Though he's been a bit distracted lately." The agents exchanged quick glances. Their quantum detection devices, disguised as ordinary watches, were quietly confirming that this was indeed their target. The boy's quantum signature was unmistakable, even through the classroom walls. Inside room 203, James sat near the window, watching clouds drift by during math class. He felt something strange, a tingling sensation he had come to associate with his special ability. But this time, it felt different, almost like a warning. The quantum fields around him shifted uneasily. The classroom door opened, and Principal Roberts stepped in with the two men. "Mrs. White, could we borrow James for a moment? These gentlemen are from a special academic program." James felt his stomach tighten. The quantum fields around the two men were wrong, distorted in a way he had never seen before. As he stood up, he did something he had never tried before. He reached out with his ability and touched the quantum fields around his teacher's coffee mug. The mug suddenly tipped over, spilling coffee across Mrs. White's desk. In the chaos of cleaning up the spill, James slipped out the other door of the classroom. He ran. The agents realized their target was escaping. One spoke quietly into his wrist communicator. "Target is moving. Initiate Protocol 7." James burst through the school's back doors, his heart pounding. He needed to get home. Mom and Dad would know what to do. They had always told him that if he ever felt in danger, he should run straight home. But as he rounded the corner of his street, he saw another black car parked outside his house. Through the living room window, he could see his parents talking to two more agents. The quantum fields around his home writhed with the same wrongness he had felt at school. James ducked behind a neighbor's hedge, trying to think. He remembered the emergency phone his parents had given him, not his regular cell phone, but a special one they said to use only in real emergencies. He pulled it from his backpack with trembling hands. The phone had only one button. James pressed it. Inside James's house, his parents were growing increasingly suspicious of their visitors. Tom Miller, James's father, was a retired military officer who recognized something off about these supposed UN representatives. "I'll ask one more time," Anna Miller said firmly, her hand slowly moving toward the hidden panel under their coffee table. "Why are you really interested in our son?" The agents realized their diplomatic cover was failing. One reached inside his jacket, but he never completed the movement. The living room window shattered as a heavily armed team in advanced combat gear burst in. The quantum fields around them pulsed with controlled power. The agents found themselves immobilized by targeted quantum field manipulation. "United Earth Defense Force," a commanding voice boomed. "Everyone on the ground." Outside, James watched in amazement as more soldiers seemed to appear out of thin air around his house. A gentle hand touched his shoulder, and he spun around to find a soldier kneeling beside him. "It's okay, son," the soldier said kindly. "We've been watching over you since you first showed signs of quantum sensitivity. You did exactly right by calling us." As James was safely escorted home, more UEDF ships decloaked in orbit, surrounding the Council's observation vessel. Humanity had known about the Galactic Council for decades and had been preparing. They had just been waiting for the Council to make their first move. The Council's agents had expected to find a helpless child. Instead, they had walked right into humanity's trap, never realizing that Earth had long since surpassed their level of quantum technology. Their attempted kidnapping had just given Earth the justification it needed to reveal itself to the galaxy. Inside the United Earth Defense Force's main command center, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral John Stone watched the massive holographic display with grim satisfaction. Hundreds of red dots representing Council observation ships appeared across Earth's orbit, all of them now surrounded by Earth's previously hidden defense fleet. "Send the signal," he commanded. "It's time to show them exactly what they're dealing with." Across the solar system, in precisely coordinated movements, Humanity's hidden fleet began to emerge. The sight was beyond anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. Massive warships, each one larger than a small city, phased into visible space from their quantum pocket dimensions. They came in waves. First hundreds, then thousands, then hundreds of thousands. In the Council's observation vessel above Earth, the commander stared in horror at his sensors. "Impossible," he whispered. 500,000 warships. This cannot be. But it was. For decades, humanity had been building and hiding its true military might. Each ship was a masterpiece of quantum engineering, capable of manipulating space-time itself. The Council had gravely miscalculated, assuming Earth was just another developing world. Back in the command center, Admiral Stone opened a galaxy-wide broadcast channel. Every Council world, every space station, and every ship in Council space would hear his message. "This is Admiral John Stone of the United Earth Defense Force." His voice boomed across the galaxy. "You targeted one of our children. Now, you face all of us." The holographic display showed Earth's warships taking position around every major Council world simultaneously. The quantum drive technology that the Council thought was centuries away from human reach had been perfected by Earth decades ago. In the Council's great chamber, panic erupted. The High Councilors watched as their own defensive fleets were dwarfed by the human armada. What they had dismissed as a primitive species had somehow built the largest and most advanced fleet in known space. "How did we not see this?" one councilor demanded. Another, older and wiser, answered quietly, "We saw what they wanted us to see. All those years of appearing primitive, they were watching us, studying us, preparing for this moment." Back on Earth, James sat with his parents in a secure UEDF facility, watching the events unfold on a large screen. His father, now revealed as a high-ranking UEDF intelligence officer, explained the situation. "We've known about the Council for over 50 years, Tom Miller told his son. "We discovered their observation ships when they first arrived. Instead of confronting them, we decided to prepare quietly." Anna Miller added, "Your ability, James, it's not unique. Many human children have the potential for quantum manipulation. We just keep it hidden, helping them develop their skills in secret." James watched in awe as more ships continued to appear on the screen. Each one bore the mark of Earth, a simple blue circle with a white dot in the center, representing humanity's homeworld and its moon. In orbit, the Council's observation vessel received direct orders from their high chamber. "Withdraw immediately. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage." Admiral Stone's voice came through again, addressing the Council. "For centuries, you've manipulated developing civilizations. You've kidnapped their gifted children, stolen their innovations, and kept them dependent on your technology. That ends today." The display showed Council ships everywhere beginning to retreat. They had no choice. Earth's warships had them completely outgunned and outmaneuvered. "Remember this," Stone continued, his voice firm but controlled. "Earth is now watching. Every developing world is under our protection. If you interfere with their natural development, if you attempt to manipulate their progress, if you so much as look at one of their children wrong, you will face the full might of humanity." In the facility, James turned to his father. "Did all this happen because of me?" Tom smiled and shook his head. "No, son. This happened because they needed to learn a lesson that humanity mastered long ago. Never threaten a child. Any child. We've been waiting for them to make this mistake. They finally did." Across the galaxy, a new era was beginning. Humanity had revealed itself not as the primitive species the Council had assumed, but as the most powerful civilization in known space. And they had done it all while hiding in plain sight. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had never been so quiet. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in stunned silence as Admiral Stone's holograms stood in the center of the vast room. Behind him, a massive display showed Earth's warships positioned around every major Council world. "Let me be perfectly clear," Stone said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Earth does not want war. We never did. But you forced our hand when you targeted one of our children." The High Counselor, an ancient being named Ral, rose from his ornate chair. His usually blue skin had turned pale with concern. "Admiral Stone, surely we can discuss this reasonably. The Council has governed the galaxy for 10,000 years." "Governed?" Stone interrupted, his eyes narrowing. "Is that what you call kidnapping gifted children from developing worlds? Is that what you call stealing innovations and keeping civilizations dependent on your technology?" The chamber erupted in whispers. Many of the younger council races had never heard these accusations before. On the screens surrounding the chamber, more data began to appear. Earth was releasing its files. Decades of surveillance showing council ships secretly interfering with developing civilizations. Videos of children from various worlds being taken, their special abilities harvested, and then suppressed. "We have recorded everything," Stone continued. "Every violation of your own laws, every act of interference, every kidnapping. And now you tried to do the same to Earth." In the secure UEDF facility on Earth, James watched the broadcast with his parents and several high-ranking officers. He saw how the alien representatives reacted to each new piece of evidence, their faces showing shock, shame, and in some cases, recognition. "The Council's time as the galaxy's unchecked power is over," Admiral Stone declared. "These are our terms. First, all interference with developing civilizations stops immediately. Second, you will release all the children you've taken and return them to their worlds. Third, you will share all suppressed technologies with their rightful creators." The High Counselor sputtered, "You cannot make such demands. Who will maintain order in the galaxy?" Stone's response was firm. "Earth will ensure peace, but not through control and manipulation. We've already established protective zones around all developing worlds. Any council ship that enters these zones will be considered hostile." On screens across the galaxy, Earth's warships demonstrated their power. Each ship activated its quantum field generators, creating visible ripples in spacetime. The message was clear. Earth's technology far surpassed anything the Council possessed. James watched as one of the UEDF officers explained to him, "See those quantum ripples? That's what you can do naturally, James. The Council's been trying for centuries to develop this technology, but human children like you are born with the ability." In the Council chamber, a younger representative suddenly stood up. "My world supports Earth's demands. The Council took 3 of my own siblings a century ago. We never saw them again." More representatives began to rise, each with similar stories. The Council's careful web of control was unraveling as centuries of secrets came to light. Admiral Stone waited for the commotion to settle before speaking again. "You have 6 Earth hours to begin complying with our terms. After that, we start freeing the captured children ourselves. And believe me, we know where every single one of them is." The High Counselor slumped in his chair, finally understanding the completeness of Earth's victory. They hadn't just built a bigger fleet, they had gathered enough intelligence to dismantle the Council's entire power structure. Back on Earth, James turned to his father. "Will they actually do what we asked?" Tom Miller smiled. "They don't have a choice, son. But more importantly, other worlds are standing with us. The Council's power was built on secrets and fear. We just shone a light on all of it." As the broadcast ended, the galaxy held its breath. The Council had 6 hours to choose. Accept Earth's terms or face the consequences. Either way, the age of Council dominance was over. A new era of galactic history was beginning, one where humanity would ensure that no child, on any world, would ever be taken from their home again. The next 48 hours changed the galaxy forever. As Earth's revelations about the Council's actions spread, hundreds of worlds erupted in peaceful revolution. The first to act was the Centauri system, home to one of the oldest civilizations under Council rule. "We stand with Earth," declared the Centauri Prime Minister in a galaxy-wide broadcast. For too long, we watched in silence as the Council stunted the growth of younger races. No more. The Council's carefully built system of control crumbled piece by piece. On the planet Talaris, thousands gathered in the streets, holding up pictures of children taken by the Council centuries ago. Their signs, written in various languages, all carried the same message: bring them home. In Earth's secure command center, Admiral Stone watched the galaxy-wide revolution unfold. Beside him, James and his parents observed the historic moments on the massive screens. Each hour brought news of another world declaring independence from Council rule. Look there. Tom pointed to one of the screens showing a distant space station. That's where they kept most of their records about the children they took. Our ships are helping their families retrieve them now. The screen showed Earth warships escorting smaller vessels from various worlds. Each ship carried parents and relatives, finally able to learn what had happened to their lost children. Some would find their loved ones in suspended animation. Others would only find records of what had been done to them. James watched as a group of alien children, recently freed from Council facilities, reunited with their families. They look like they haven't aged at all, he noted. The Council used quantum stasis technology, explained Anna, his mother. They kept the children frozen in time, studying their abilities. Some have been in stasis for hundreds of years. On another screen, the High Council chamber was in chaos. Many Council members had fled, while others tried desperately to destroy evidence of their crimes. But Earth's quantum technology had already copied and secured all their records. Breaking news from the Orient sector announced a galaxy-wide newsfeed. 3 more Council worlds have declared independence. The Council's enforcement fleet has stood down, refusing orders to stop the rebellions. Admiral Stone received an urgent message from one of Earth's ships. Sir, we found something big. The Council had a secret research facility in the Vega system. There are thousands of children there, all in stasis. Some date back to the Council's earliest days. The Admiral's face hardened. Deploy rescue ships immediately. Get those children out and begin identifying their homeworlds. James watched as more Earth ships jumped into quantum space, racing to free the imprisoned children. Each rescue mission revealed more of the Council's dark secrets, but also showed humanity's determination to make things right. Dad, James asked, why did Earth wait so long to stop them? Tom placed a hand on his son's shoulder. We needed to be absolutely ready. One wrong move, and the Council might have hidden or harmed their captives. We had to secure every facility simultaneously. Across the galaxy, the revolution continued peacefully but firmly. The Council's power wasn't just breaking. It was being completely dismantled by the very worlds it had tried to control. In orbit around Earth, the first group of freed children arrived for medical care and family reunification. Earth's advanced quantum healing technology would help them recover from their long imprisonment. This is just the beginning, Admiral Stone told his staff. We're not just freeing these worlds from Council control. We're going to help them rebuild, recover their lost knowledge, and develop at their own pace. On the main screen, another Council world declared independence. Its people were already dismantling the Council's monitoring stations, preparing to govern themselves for the first time in centuries. James watched it all with wide eyes, understanding now why his own abilities had been kept secret. Earth had been waiting, preparing, making sure that when they finally acted, they could free everyone. The revolution wasn't fought with weapons or violence. It was won with truth, preparation, and the unshakable human belief that no child should ever be taken from their home. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what Earth had planned. 1 week after the revolution began, the remaining Council leaders requested a meeting with Earth's representatives. The location chosen was neutral ground, a massive space station orbiting Jupiter, Earth's largest planet. The station's main conference room offered a breathtaking view of the gas giant's swirling storms. On one side sat the Council representatives, their numbers greatly reduced after many had resigned or fled. On the other side sat Earth's delegation, led by Admiral Stone. James and his parents were there too. Earth having insisted that the boy whose ability triggered these events should witness the proceedings. "We are prepared to accept Earth's terms," the head counselor began, his voice heavy with defeat. "But we must understand. How did humans advance so far without our knowledge?" Admiral Stone smiled slightly. "Perhaps it's time we showed you." He nodded to James, who stepped forward confidently. James closed his eyes and reached out with his ability. The quantum fields around him became visible to everyone in the room, swirling in beautiful patterns. Small objects began floating, and the very fabric of space-time rippled gently. "Impossible," one council scientist whispered. "This level of quantum manipulation, without any technology." "Not impossible," Tom Miller explained. "Natural. Nearly every human child is born with the potential for quantum sensitivity. We simply learn to nurture it instead of fear it." The council members watched in amazement as James demonstrated more advanced quantum manipulations, things their best technology couldn't achieve. "But why hide it?" another counselor asked. "Why pretend to be a primitive species for so long?" Admiral Stone's expression turned serious. "Because we discovered your observation ships 50 years ago. We saw what you did to other worlds that showed early quantum potential. So we watched, and we learned, and we prepared." On the room's large screens, Earth began sharing its records. Decades of careful observation, documenting every council ship, every hidden facility, every suppressed civilization. "We built our fleet in secret," Anna Miller added. "We developed our technology away from your sensors. We made sure that when we finally revealed ourselves, we could protect not just Earth, but every world you had been controlling." The council members began to understand the full scope of Earth's achievement. Humanity hadn't just outmaneuvered them militarily. They had completely reversed the observation. The Watchers had become the watched. "There's something else you should know," Admiral Stone continued. "We've been quietly helping other worlds recover their own quantum abilities. Many of the children you took, their descendants are beginning to show the same natural talents as our children." This news visibly shook the council members. Their entire system had been built on controlling access to quantum technology. The idea that it could be a natural ability, awakening across multiple species, challenged everything they believed. James stepped forward again. "My dad says that abilities like mine aren't meant to be controlled or hidden. They're meant to be shared and taught." The boy's simple wisdom seemed to affect the council members more than any show of force. They saw in him what they had forgotten in their millennia of control, the pure potential of a child unafraid to explore their abilities. "Earth proposes a new way forward," Admiral Stone announced. "Instead of suppressing developing worlds, we help them grow. Instead of taking gifted children, we teach them. Instead of control through fear, we offer guidance through understanding." The head counselor looked around the room, at the quantum field still shimmering from James' demonstration, at the records of their own misdeeds, at the future they had tried so hard to prevent. "We accept," he said finally. "The old council is finished. Perhaps it is time for us to learn from Earth." As the meeting concluded, James stood at the window, watching Jupiter's great red spot swirl below. His father joined him, placing a proud hand on his shoulder. "You know what the funny thing is, Dad?" James said quietly. "They were so afraid of us becoming too powerful, they never realized we already decided to use our power to help others." The quantum fields rippled peacefully around them, a visible reminder that the greatest power often comes not from control, but from understanding. 6 months after the meeting with the Council, Earth's vision for a new galactic community was becoming reality. The massive training facility built in orbit around Mars served as a symbol of this change. Here, children from hundreds of worlds came to learn about their quantum abilities in a safe, nurturing environment. James walked through the facility's main observation deck, now a 13-year-old instructor helping other young beings understand their gifts. Through the large windows, the red planet Mars glowed against the black of space, while Earth's defense ships patrolled quietly in the distance. "Remember," James said to a group of students from 12 different worlds, "The quantum field connects everything. You don't need to force it, just feel it, like it's part of you." The children, some with scales, others with fur, some with multiple arms, and some looking almost human, closed their eyes in concentration. Small objects around the room began to float gently. "Perfect," James smiled. "That's exactly right." In another part of the facility, Admiral Stone met with representatives from formerly suppressed worlds. The Admiral had aged slightly, his hair grayer now, but his eyes still held the same determination. "The recovery process is ahead of schedule," he reported. 30 more worlds have rediscovered their quantum sensitivity. Their children are showing abilities that match or exceed their ancestors. A tall crystalline being spoke up, its voice translating through quantum field harmonics. "Thanks to Earth's protection, our world has advanced more in 6 months than in the previous 1,000 years under Council control. The former Council worlds have been transformed too. With their secrets exposed and their power broken, many had chosen to join Earth's new Galactic Defense Alliance. This new organization focused on protection and development rather than control and suppression. In the facility's research wing, Tom and Anna Miller led a team studying how quantum abilities manifested across different species. Their findings had revolutionized understanding of cosmic evolution. "It seems the Council was wrong about everything," Tom explained to a group of scientists. "Quantum sensitivity isn't a threat to stability. It's a natural part of how intelligent life develops throughout the galaxy." James finished his teaching session and headed to his favorite spot, a quiet corner of the observation deck where he could see both Earth and Mars. A small alien child, looking like a blue-furred fox, approached him shyly. "Teacher James," the child spoke softly, "is it true that you were the one who helped free all of us?" James shook his head with a gentle smile. "No, little one. Earth had been preparing to help everyone for a long time. I was just the excuse they needed to finally act." On a screen nearby, news from across the galaxy played silently. It showed scenes of advancement and recovery. Abandoned Council facilities being transformed into schools, lost technologies being rediscovered, and families celebrating their newfound freedom to grow and learn. The blue-furred child looked out at the stars. "Do you think there are more worlds out there that need help?" "Probably," James nodded. "That's why we're training. Not just to use our abilities, but to understand when and how to help others." In Earth's Defense Command Center, Admiral Stone reviewed reports of Council remnants trying to maintain control in distant sectors. But their efforts were futile. Without fear and secrecy to maintain their power, they found themselves facing not just Earth's fleet, but the combined strength of hundreds of liberated worlds. As evening approached on the training facility, James gathered with his students for one final lesson. Together, they reached out with their abilities, making the quantum fields visible. The sight was beautiful, countless points of light connecting everything and everyone. "This is what the Council never understood," James told his students. "Our abilities aren't meant to be hoarded or controlled. They're meant to be shared, taught, and used to help others." The galaxy had entered a new era. The age of fear and suppression was over, replaced by one of growth and cooperation. And it all started because humanity had chosen to wait, watch, and prepare, not for war, but for the right moment to help create something better. As the Earth rose over Mars' horizon, James and his students watched the quantum fields shimmer around them, each point of light representing a future that was finally free to shine.